D.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hold on, wait a second. Let me make sure this is focused properly.
You just see Blue Story trending, so I was trying to find out what it was about.
Oh God. What's
Race.
happening?
I
What's
was
happening now?
just talking about racism and the reason why. You know that everything that happened with it was down to
Go on. Oh yeah,
discrimination.
of course. Yeah. Of course. Of
That was
course.
horrible, man. That
Do you
was
know?
horrible.
Before we listen, because I usually see when I do the podcast and that
Mhm.
I don't do introductions really.
Chit
We
chat.
just chat. Yeah, we just because I'm
Yeah.
essentially I'm chatting to my brethrens in it and
Yeah.
people that I like just check for or whatever, and then later on down the line I like will do an introduction and that. But I feel like
Sure.
today absolutely warrants an introduction. Yeah, so
Oh,
I want my audience to understand and know who it is that I'm speaking to and why I'm speaking to this person. So basically, I've been doing this podcast for a minute now. But
mhm.
before doing the podcast, I was doing radio a lot. And
Mhm.
I was doing radio on like more community radio, pirate radio or whatever. And somehow I met Delisa. I don't even know how I met you. I think maybe it might have been because like I was giving out bare CDs at the time. I knew Austin. Maybe you heard something. I don't know. I don't even know how I met you.
I
Like I
know how I
don't.
met you.
Do you?
Yes.
Go on,
Jump
tell
off.
me.
Jump off.
Oh, is that how we met?
That's how. But I knew of you.
Oh,
But then
okay.
I met you in the booth, and I saw you in the booth, and I was like, okay, that's Chucky. So I knew who you were.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to me.
I knew
No, but
exactly who you were.
big up to Ara and that as well. And like, yeah, I actually have to call Ara. I need to call him anyway. But yeah. So around the period of time, like me and you was talking a lot, and like you were very helpful in trying to really get a radio career kicked off for me, and you was doing a lot for me at the time. Now always, if people like that have like been listening to the podcast for a long time now, they will always occasionally hear me say Delisa or and I will always mention you because that was a time for me where I felt like I was trying to do so much to make it happen, and if I felt like you was the only one that was really like, no, like we're gonna. You said to me from the get go, Chucks, there's politics in radio, and every time we used to meet, you used to always say to me, Chucks, there's politics in radio, there's politics in radio, there's politics in radio, but you know what? Try this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and whatever. And then in the end, I remember I did the One Extra Talent thing. I did like one of the last ones at that time, and then I left there with the thing of, you know what, fuck radio, and I'm gonna go and create my own thing, and I'm just gonna try and work it out. I'll never forget the day when I actually just walked out of the building with the mindset of, my focus is no longer on this. I'm gonna try and do something else. So you know what? Firstly, I will always have the most amount of love for you just for what you did then, and the fact that you've always I can always get hold of you. You come, you give me words of encouragement and that, and we talk and we have some good conversations. We don't speak every day, but I will always speak to you forever. So yeah, I had to say that before I started this, but I want people also to know just what you have done at radio and where, like, just a little bit about your journey, just so that it's not just a random person. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not normally one for, being in the forefront of the cameras. By heart, I'm a radio producer. I worked with Charlie Sloth for years. We did a radio show together. I currently work on Fire in the Booths. I'm an executive producer, about to keep it moving, got big things planned for this year, so I mean, I'm about artist development. I'm about people development. I'm about helping people to get where they need to go. I try and
Yeah.
cut out as much of the politics as possible, because personally, you just saying that to me and knowing and feeling like that, that's not cool with me. That's not
Yeah.
cool with me, because there's opportunities for everyone. Just see what I mean? There's always opportunities. What happens there in your situation? Someone's blocked you. And the thing is, just because one person doesn't feel that you're talented, another person will. Like I do. I think that personally, you should be a lot bigger than you are in terms of your talent and where you should be,
Mm-hmm.
but you've been knocked back. And it's like, why is that? And I've always said to you, if someone's not interested in promoting you or pushing you or seeing your talent, do your own thing. I say that to so many people, do your own thing. There's so many opportunities now in terms of YouTube and all the different, you know, you put music out, got all the streaming services, like everyone's doing their own thing at the minute. But I mean,
it's mad still. Do you know what? For me, an element of that has like in some way felt like a blessing, because I don't know if I would have been doing this otherwise. And you know what? Like, it actually feels nice to have something that is actually just mine. I can come here. Yeah. I can.
Ownership.
I can.
Do you know what? Ownership. Ownership.
Yes. Yeah. IP. Listen, let me tell you something. Yeah. I can right now, Delisa. I can right now, if I wanted to, talk about camel shit for half an hour if I want. If I want, I could talk about camel shit for 45 minutes, and there's nothing anyone can say or do about that, because if that's what I want to do, that's what I'm gonna do. And there's obvious, and there's like a part of that just feels liberating. Do you get what I'm saying? And it feels liberating from the aspect of, you know what, I felt like I was, man, there's actually so much things to say within that. I remember like people say, I remember one time, I did a demo for another radio station, what was Capital, and this is when Capital was turning into Capital Extra, so like someone's rang me now and they were like, you know what, what you do at Bang is sick, I want you to come and do that, like as a demo, just come and do that. So I was like, all right, cool. So I've gone there, and that guy who rang me, he wasn't there when I came to do the demo. So he was like, like he said to me, what are you supposed to be doing? I said, I'm here for a demo. He said, okay. Then he gave me a script and he was like, just read that. So I was like, oh no, well, he told me that he wanted me to
do
come
my
in.
thing.
So he's like, no, read, just read this. So I'm like, all right, cool. So anyway, I'm read their like radio links and that, This is funny to me still, because when I've read the radio links now, he's like come back and he's like, nah, mate, this is what you got to do. Talk a little bit like this, mate. Like talk like when you go on, say this is Rihanna upon the replay coming up on Capital Extra right now. Say it a bit like that. You know, talk a bit like that. And you know what, Delisa? I did it. I was there talking a bit like, is this Rihanna? And then and then when I left there, I said, nah, man, this ain't even, I actually think I have the audio of it somewhere, because they gave me the audio. And I left there and I thought, like that just felt mad to me, that I'm going in a place now where a man is essentially telling me to not talk like me.
That's not cool.
And that felt, as mad as it felt, there was like, it just felt like that was just part of the grind. Did you get what I'm saying? This is just maybe a part of something that I've got to do. But just going on to the
one sec, was it a white guy?
Yeah. It was two, like the white guy that rang me to do it. The dude that rang me to come and do me, he was a white guy. And then when I went there, it was a different white guy. And then when I left, the other white guy said to me, I don't know why he told you to do that. I need you to come back and just do what you do. So I came back. I came back, and the brother, like, we was trying to set up it was a shambles. It was actually a shambles. It was just the absolute mess in it. But you know, like, I just felt like that was a part of something that was a part of the game. But in terms of the radio producing thing, how long have you been doing that?
I started working in radio in 2002. I started working at BBC local radio stations. I've worked at 3 counties, which is based in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire. And then I got a part-time job at Radio Gloucestershire. And that is miles away from anything that I knew or whatever. But I needed a job. I needed the experience. It was within the BBC. And I thought, I'm going to go for it. So I was at Radio Gloucestershire. Bear in mind, not a very black populated place at all, but I needed the experience. So I went there, worked there part-time. And all honesty, I just picked up part-time jobs alongside that. At one point, to keep the rent and pay my rent, I was working at the radio station during the daytime, and then I was cleaning the radio station in the evening. Just to keep the money coming in.
Yeah.
which is quite embarrassing. I'm not even going to lie. Can you imagine working with your colleagues and then after 7, I'm there with the mop and bucket cleaning the toilets
Cleaning
out.
up and that. Yeah.
But I just knew it was a means to an end, and I knew that I wanted more, and I knew this was the path for me for that point.
Yeah.
And then luckily, at one point I'm applying for loads of jobs. I got a job at Radio 1, working in their social action team. So that's like working on, they had a show called The Sunday Surgery. So I was working on that with the MB, just as an assistant. And then as the years went by, you know, worked with Trevor Nelson, the Tim Westwoods, Vernon Kay, Fern Cotton, Joe Wiley, all the kind of radio greats, producing great shows. And then I moved over to One Extra, because Radio 1 and One Extra started to combine together.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I started working over there, and then that's where I kind of ended my career at BBC 2018, and then moved over to with Charlie Slough, behind the booths. And then I'm just about to start something new that I can't really talk about, but it's something big.
Fair. It's the screen's jolting at the moment. Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Oh.
1 sec. It's jolting for a sec. Yeah, boom. It should be Chris now. So, like, what is a radio producer, by the way, just for people who don't know what that is?
So my job is, I'm in control of the whole show as it goes out at that point. I would help work with the DJs to pick the artists that come in, just the sound of the show. But also, most importantly, I'm in charge of the editorial side of things. So I need to make sure that we're on time for things, say the news junctions. If there's a swear word that goes out, it's up to the producer to be in control to handle every situation. And you never know what you're going to get. It could be a death of somebody and you have to deal with that in terms of the tone of the show. If like me working with Charlie, you know, he's so outrageous. If he says something, how do I deal with it? So me and him were like yin and yang. So if he said something crazy, I'll come back and say, actually, Charlie, you know, and that's how we kind of work together. You're pretty much in control, but it's a great job. You know, the time flies. That whole time me at the BBC, it just flew past. I enjoyed it, most of it.
Yeah, because you've been there for quite a minute, and then you moved over with Charlie. You went to Beats, right, as well? Yeah. And are you still there now? Are you still there with him, or have you
currently?
Yeah. It's an interesting time at the moment. For me, it's always been interesting, because for me, there's a lot of conversations that's being had now, but you know, for a lot of us, we've been having these conversations for time.
Which conversations?
Conversations about just how we feel within the industry that we work within. And not even just that, but wider conversations about just the system. Because do you know what I think, yeah? You see, like, at the moment, George Floyd, his name comes up a lot with what's been happening or whatever, yeah? Of course. Like, what I was trying to explain to someone just yesterday as well is that, like, we all hear that saying, yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. So it's like there's been a camel and there's been hella straws, and so this is another straw, and the fact that there's another straw is why you're starting to see things like what we're seeing right now with like protests and people being upset and fed up and stuff like that. And there's actually a lot of people that don't understand it. There's a lot of people that don't understand it, and I think that actually comes from a big place of privilege, because a lot of people that don't understand it have not had to live it. They haven't had to live these type of things.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know, to even that example that I mentioned to you before about having to go to a place where a man's telling me that I can't talk like me.
That's disgusting though, babe. It's disgusting. But bear in mind, that was the majority of my career. I've never been able to be myself. I do it now, and I'm comfortable within myself. But when you're going through a corporate company and you're the only, say, there's 2 black people out of 50, you don't feel comfortable being able to be yourself. So you have to kind of narrow it in. And they don't speak like my family. I come from a Jamaican family. They're loud and they're proud. Like when we play dominoes going on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Loud and proud. But do you think a white person's going to understand that? If a white person was in the room, oh my God, they're being aggressive. I think they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
You know, but to us, that's just the way that we are culturally. No disrespect to anyone.
So see at work, yeah? Like see early on at work, like clearly there's, and we're just talking about from your perspective, yeah. Clearly there's like, you know, certain undertones and things that like come up that are not cool. But then what happens when those things happen? Because essentially, like, obviously I don't want to just single out one radio station, but I'm just talking from your perspective. But it's just that, like, in an industry and a scenario where you are working at essentially what is supposed to be a black radio station, hearing like, or there even being undertones from God knows, like, way back when, like, what were the conversations that were being had then? Like, why is it so much? Why are we having these conversations now? Why is it now that it feels like people are starting to call out their bosses, corporations, and all of these things? Like, why wasn't that a thing before?
Me personally, and honestly, Chucky, I would love to have 100% real talk conversation with you, but I have to just bear in mind personally what I can say. Otherwise, I'll be naming and shaming and giving you bare examples. So I'm going to try and keep it as general but as specific as possible. Now, in my opinion, what's changed is that we've got some of our power back. So in terms of music, in terms of culture, our black culture is selling. So our ratings are going up and our power is going up. Back in the day, we didn't have any power. No one cared for black artists. They care now. Black artists are now, they're all profitable. So guess what? Let's get us in the room. Let's listen to what they have to say. They didn't care before. Before, we were blacklisted. We were in the corner. Stay in the corner. Stay in your lane. Stay underground. But what happened is the internet, the rise of the internet allowed artists to grow their fan bases, social media, growing their fan bases without big labels. Remember when everyone was independent? 2015, everyone was independent. Do you know what I'm saying? All these rappers were independent. All these British artists were independent. And the rise and the rise and the rise. Now we have power. Now we have to be listened to. Because guess what? Now we don't need them anymore. We're strong. If we stay united, that is, if we stay united. I don't know if we are completely, but we're powerful. The black cultural pound is very strong right now. They're listening to us and they need us. That's the difference for me personally.
Yeah. How have you found, like, as a black woman anyway, like, how have you found maneuvering in I don't even want to say so much the industry, but I mean just in your workplaces, because essentially that's what a lot of it is. It's a workplace. Yeah,
I mean, me personally, I'm quite bubbly. Like I said to you, I've come from, I'm happy to go. I'm from I grew up in Harrow. So I'm from a predominantly white area, Asian area. So I've always known that I am one of, you know, a few black people. So I've always been, my mum grew me strong. I would say like the Hulk. Inside is me and on the outside is the Hulk. So I walk around like this, strong, strong, strong. That's just the way that I am. So when I'm going to Gloucestershire and I don't see a black person for 2 weeks and it's just me, one there, full stop in the whole building, I'm strong and I'm ready. And that's cool, and I can put that on. I can put that facade on. It's not necessarily who I am, but I can put that on in meetings and in predominantly white places. But it's tough. Like, I'm not going to lie, it's tough. Like I said, I have to tone myself down slightly. I have to speak differently.
Why?
The way that I speak.
Why?
Because I think they find it aggressive and they find it very hood. And ultimately, they want people that represents them to be able to articulate themselves in a language that they understand and they feel that their stakeholders understand. I mean, I speak good anyway. When I used to do the show with Charlie on 1Xtra, obviously it's radio, so you can't see people.
People think that you're white.
People think that I'm white, and they thought Charlie was black. He used to crack us up. They used to crack us up. But I mean, I just speak how I speak. Do you know what I mean? I am who I am, whatever. You know, brought up council estate, single parent family. Luckily, I made some good choices. I don't think people necessarily always do, but I've made some good choices and I've been lucky. And to be honest with you as well, I've been around some people that have inspired me to do better. So even being around Charlie Sloth, people say, oh, you know, Charlie this, he's loud, But Charlie will sit there and say to me, "Where's your, what you do? What you need to buy this property? You're renting it. You should buy it. You should buy it, and this is how you can do it." Yeah, you know, like when you had your money expert guy on. Do you remember?
Urban Finance. I've had him on a couple times.
Things like that. If you don't have people around you giving you a different perspective, then you just stay like this. Lip chucks just straight. because no one's telling you nothing. You don't know how to get out. But when you've
Yeah.
got inspiring people around you saying, you know what, you should buy that, and this is how you do it. You go and get yourself da 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 da, and then
Yeah.
before you know it, you're 2 properties up. Charlie will say to me, "When you get your next property, when you get," I'm like, okay, you know, that's how you go up and up. But if I didn't,
No,
have
his bank is his bank is a lot larger. So I mean, he can have these kind of like, well, I'm gonna buy the next one tomorrow.
Again, I'm just you know, everything that I've got myself. I've not had family that says, oh, you need a deposit for a flat, go and get one, here's the money, go. No, do you know what I've done since even working at the Bee? People might not know, they might know that I thought, you know what, I'm not making enough money here.
Yeah.
I look at my ins and my outs as everyone else does. There's not enough money coming in here. What can I do? What skills do I have? So I went to college at the same time, and I went in trained to do teaching, higher education teaching. So then I started I used to take every other Monday off and go to Birmingham, and I used to teach at Birmingham City University, teach radio production, just to make that extra money. And the money that I made from that went into my other account, and that's what my deposit came from my flat, the first flat that I got.
Yeah,
so I'm saying, so nothing was given to me. Everything I've had to work for, and I've got no problem with doing it because it's a means to an end for me. As long as I can see where I'm going, I'll just continue the job, keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. When you was talking about like toning yourself down in that, I know that Ace and Shawnee B, they did a show on 1Xtra recently, which was good. I actually listened back to it. It was sick. And
I listened to it.
You know, one of the things that I thought was such an interesting thing that Ace talked about was like being, you know, a big black guy with a beard. And, you know, that the woman rang up the radio station. She was talking about, you know, seeing a black guy and being intimidated by a black guy. And I thought his response was so on point because, you know, he essentially mentioned like, okay, let me tell you how this makes me feel as a black man. Like I'm constantly having to, like, there's a fear in me. So now, you know, I think that you feel this way. So now I'm having to like tone myself down and lower myself and try to make myself smaller and all of these things. And I have to do this every day, and it's exhausting.
It's so tiring.
Every day I've got to do this, and it's exhausting. What did you think about the black box thing? Was it Blackout Tuesday in that?
Yeah, Blackout Tuesday that just happened. I thought it was great to see everybody coming together, and there were really loads of positives. I personally didn't do it off of my own, and my reasons were, I appreciate everyone and doing it, and I think it's a great thing to do. But me personally, there's no days off from this thing. I've been pushing UK artists, black communities for my whole life, my whole adult life. Like, I'm not taking the day off. And I use the opportunity to push things that I've done, push my opinions in terms of what I've done, how I feel. And that's what I use that actual platform, my platforms for. Not that I've got millions of followers, don't assume that. But I just thought, you know what, I have to be real here, how I feel. And I understand people are putting, actually, one thing that I didn't understand was everyone's posting this one thing, oh, we're going to take the time to connect to communities. But when I hit people up and I said, well, what does that mean?
No one really
knew. No one knew. So I wasn't really comfortable with that. For me, it's every single day. Every time I'm in a situation with white people where they come and touch your hair, oh, your hair's longer than it was yesterday. How is that? What's the reason because of that? You know, all these questions that you get. And I'm happy to try and help and accommodate people, but I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired.
Yeah, there's like so much education. There's so much education that needs to be done. And this is the thing, See, like with the Blackout Tuesday thing and that. The way that I always see things when it comes to stuff like this is usually like, okay, cool. Because I have the same opinion as you. This is an everyday thing. You know, a lot of us live this stuff every day, and there's a hell of a lot of work that needs to be done. But I also think about, like, you know what? The small minority of people that are oblivious to what's going on, that see something and think, what's happening here? Why is everyone doing this? Like, what is the big deal? Oh, what is this? Oh, and that made you feel. And then you send me another, and then I've just read this, and then and now I'm And then it's kind of, you know, like some people have like spiritual awakening, for a better term, you know, like this. And I've spoken to a few people like that, like, you know, or even like people that have come around and said to me that like, you know, one of their brethrens witnessed something and then was like, rah, is this how you feel on a daily basis? Like, so for me, I always think about, you know what, I know it's only a small percentage of people, but there are a lot of people that like are a bit oblivious to what is going on, and they're actually keen to try to understand and want to know what they can do. Do you know what I mean? I started to get quite a few calls and texts from like some people that were like, I feel ashamed, and like, but I don't, like, what do I do? And do you know what I say to them? I say a couple of things. I say, the one thing that I feel that would be a good thing to do, is not only have the mindset of like, this is not cool, but be super anti it. And by being super anti it, when you're around the dinner table with your family, or you're around, you're chilling with your brethren, and one person says one thing, you have to be the person to make them feel uncomfortable to say that around you. You have to make people feel, you have to limit the spaces where people feel like they can just say, you know, damn niggas, or whatever, you know, like just them little undertones and that. You have to do that. You have to be the person that makes them feel uncomfortable. Don't let people feel comfortable enough to say certain things around you. And the second thing is, you don't have to go on social media and make a big speech and a long caption and all of that type of stuff. One, you just got to live it, and two, you've got to live it in terms of, as I said, like being anti it. But also what you've got to do is, you see, when you see a trusted voice, like when there's a trusted voice, and someone that's giving information, share it. That's good. You could do that. Just share that. Share that. But before you share it, understand it, overstand it, then share it. Don't just share it, because that is like, again, I know that might contradict what I was saying before, is like the small percentage of people, because there are a lot of people that are just sharing shit just for the sake of sharing shit, to be seen to be doing some shit. So there's a whole bunch of people that are doing that, But again, I'm an optimist, innit? And I'm kind of like, okay, cool. You're going to do that and you're full of shit for doing it. But you know what? You might end up sharing it to somebody who's like, rah, this is fuckery.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So Delisa, the thing is, there's always going to be a fight. It's never, I don't believe that, not in my lifetime anyway, that there's going to be a change in terms of like how people see race, because there'll always be a way that people will try to divide people. There'll always be something. There'll always, even if everyone was, you know, a certain, let's just say everyone became mixed race within like 500 years, there'll still be some people that'll be like bit too dark, you know what I mean? There'll always be some type of class in it, and the way that people see things. But you know what? It's just, again, just trying to educate people, because a lot of us are ignorant, and a lot of people are ignorant when it comes to stuff that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and they contribute to it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Chucky. There's been occasions, and people know me for this, and I try and do it with respect, but there's been a lot of occasions where I've been that person to stand up and say, this isn't right. I don't like what's going on here. I don't think it's right for the audience. I don't think we're connecting. I think you've gone off topic. There's no diversity. You know what I mean? I've been that person to stand up. But guess what happens? You get shut down as quick as possible. I've tried it. I've done it. I've tried to be a spokesperson. I've tried to have change. And what happens? You get blacklisted. The black girl gets blacklisted, Chucky. And it's not nice. Like, for me, it's horrible. When they come for you, they'll come for you. And I know people say, I'll stand up and I'll say, and I'll tell them they're wrong, and I'll shut that conversation down in a room. Not a lot of people want to hear it. And a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about race. They are. That's one thing that I've definitely found. They don't want to talk about race. Change the subject quick, change the channel. They don't want to talk about it. This has actually been the first time where I've seen so much positivity come out of this horrible situation.
Well, one of the reasons why that is because like everyone's in their yard. And that is, I guess, like that. I guess it depends on how you look at that too, because I think that when we've done stuff like this before and we've made noise and that, we've made noise on days where everyone's just at work and they just got things to do, and it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we see that there's a little something going on, but I'm just going to crack on with life. But when you're at home, and yes, I know a lot of people are working still now, but we're in different circumstances, and a lot of people, a lot more people have time on their hands. And that's why I think that this has, in some way, could be a good thing, because now it can force some people to pay more attention to it than they did. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, more attention to that. And
I hope so. But there's been occasions where I've gone for a job and I won't get it, and they'll give it to the white girl that knows absolutely nothing about our culture.
Oh shit, yeah, I hear that.
That happens so many
and do you know what the
times.
maddest thing is, D? People will tell you that it's all in your head. That is the thing that gets on my nerves
God.
the most. That's the thing that gets on my nerves the most.
These people trying to make me feel like I'm crazy. I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah.
No, Delisa. I mean, if you have a problem, you can speak to our HR department. Here's the paperwork. Just read the paperwork. Go through it. It's just this is not really happening, Delisa.
Yeah. It's mad. It's like being in a. It's like being in an abusive relationship. It's like being in an abusive relationship, and then people just patronize you when they what? What are you talking about? They're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No,
Who?
never.
What? Me?
We would never do that.
What? Him? Oh, no way.
What? Are you joking?
Stop being silly. Yeah.
He's got black neighbours. He would never do that.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I was saying on my Insta story the other day, yeah, that how did it come up? I can't even remember how it came up, but I was just again talking about the uncomfortable conversations that are being had, yeah. And so I gave an example of something that I felt like is normalized amongst some of us, yeah. And one of that being, oh no, this is what it was. Someone put out a tweet that said something along the lines of being black is when you are going on holiday and have to search what racism is like in the country. And I was like, you know what? I got to talk about this because there's something that I love to talk about. And I spoke about this actually on the podcast before, but I was like, enough times, yeah, when I'm going to a country, I'm going to certain countries, yeah, or I get a job offer to go to a certain place. The amount of times that in my head, I'm kind of like, yo, boy, so I'm going to get run out of the country, because I don't know if this is... But see, when I had to go to Poland to go and shoot that doc, I was shook. And you know what? Yeah, I don't know if I ever said this. There was one day. Shout out to Teo Yusuf as well. Yeah, sick guy. Anyway, we was out in Poland. Yeah, I ain't seen no black people, which is cool. Whatever, Poland, whatnot. It's cool. It's what it is. Anyway, there was one day I saw one black brother. Yeah. And the black brother saw me, yeah, and you know, like, it was almost like love at first sight. I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what, fam, what are you, like, are you, I wanted to just ask him, bro, are you good? And so we're looking at each other, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I actually was so close to jumping into the man's arms. I was so happy to see him. I didn't even know the brother, but I was just like, bro, if you are living here, then I hope that you're all right. Because I have been here for 6 days and you're the only one I've seen. But I say that to be extreme, but like, I feel like that when I go to certain places outside of London. When I go outside certain places in London, I don't think that I'm going to get run out of anywhere, but I am very cautious of where I'm at, like, and how I might be treated in these particular places. Yeah, it doesn't stop me from going, but I think that I say all of that to say this is that, like, we have to think and strategize and contemplate more than the average person. Enough people just, oh, what, boom, holiday, bam, yeah, book that, gone. Me, I'm still on a, yeah, I'll book that kind of thing, but I'm still on a, is it like, is there too many of, because maybe there might be too many of us. Maybe they're like, 7 of us might be going on holiday and that might, are we going to get in? Are we going to, like, when we go to the club and that, do you know how much times man have to split up? we have to go to the dance, yeah, and
That's
man have to
another
sit in the
subject.
man have to sit in the car, and two of us, or we got to find a girl,
Yeah.
a white girl, in fact, to help us, to help us pattern up. Listen, let me tell you something. I've been on this for a minute, yeah. I know I'm a DJ. I'm lucky enough to play in some of the places that I play and make money by doing something that I enjoy, yeah. But see, like in terms of the club thing and that, there is bare clubs you will not catch me dead raving in. You're mad? Huh? I'm not going there. They don't want me in there. They like the music. They like the music.
Yeah.
They
But you
want
said
me
it
in there.
from you said it from the male's perspective, from the black female's perspective. We get in the queue, we're looking good. Do you know what we have to do is take our jackets off. We have to take our jackets off to try and get into the club because the bouncers ain't looking at us. The bouncers are like, yeah, white girl, mixed race girl, yeah. The black girls are like this, jackets off. We look good too in the crowd.
Yeah.
Bouncers don't want to let black girls into these clubs. I'm not even joking. We just sit there, grin teeth, standing, waiting. Okay, you guys can get in
You have
now.
to be with a baller. You got to be with a baller. Again, people will tell you it's all in your head. They'll tell you it's all in. And do you know why as well? Do you know why some people will say that as well? Yeah, it's because sometimes the bouncer's black, but he's conditioned the same way. So it's like, you know, there's this whole thing about like we need to. Sometimes they don't say it, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they will say it's too black, it's too black in here. Yeah, or we don't want it too black. Or they'll be like on a vibe of, look, they might say to the bouncer or whoever, listen, be easy on who we don't want it aggressive in here. And it's, you know what I mean by that. So when I'm saying that to you, you know what I mean by that. And you might not be fully conscious of it. It might be a subconscious thing, but now you're standing on the door with that same attitude and that same mentality and that. I've always been funny on, you know, like certain promoters and that do that thing of, you got to send us a picture before you.
What?
Yeah. Well, you know, heard about that.
Send you a picture of what?
Them.
Of yourself?
Yes. So basically, there's like certain nights that happen here where it's like, you know what, boom. In order to get in, before you get in and that, it's like a, you know what I mean? Send us a picture, let us know your name, your area and that. But fam, I know what that is, cuz. Trust me. I know what that is, innit? This is to make sure that it isn't all, but then again, they'll tell you, this is all in your head, bruv.
In your head.
This
Do you know
is
what?
like,
It's so funny. I'm so glad you brought this up because I think that's part of the frustration that I have, the way that I feel. And it's like, can anyone hear me? Can anyone actually see what's going on? It's like there's an elephant in the room and you're looking at it. You're like, there's an elephant. Everyone's like, nah, there's no elephant. There's nothing going on here.
Yeah.
You just can't continue anymore. And I'm glad people are talking. I feel like the black community need to unite. And like we were talking about, for me, it's all about ownership, having our own things. And then I just believe in diversity. I can't continue anymore the way it's been. I swear, I can't do it.
You see people talk about all lives matter and that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to kind of stay where they're comfortable, and I understand that. And it's mad. They don't understand it.
When someone says, but all lives matter, my response to that is, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why people are saying that. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the going out and screaming like Black Lives Matter and that. There's no reason for it. It's not something that I do, but I obviously understand it. But when I hear people say that, oh yeah, but all lives matter, I'm like, but the reason why they're saying that is because that's what they believe. Of course, that's what they believe. So that's why they're saying that, because they're essentially saying that, like, deal with us the same, cuz. Deal with us the same. Yeah. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is George, I'll keep mentioning this in the conversation, yeah. George Floyd is the name that is brought up a lot in the conversations that is happening right now. But I don't want people to misunderstand the fact that, like, the reason why this is happening is not just because of that. It is the system for why these type of things are happening. And essentially, the George Floyd thing is another straw. So when I come out when I come out and I'm talking and saying certain things, yeah, this isn't so much because of like, you know, police brutality being the same as America or whatever it is, yeah, because obviously, bearing in mind, the only difference between the police here and the police in America is just the gun laws. Yes, we don't have killings like that, but boy better know, if the police had straps here, do you know how much man is dead?
Gone.
Like, wigged. So there's that, but more so, it's just the system that has been in place for however many years that is created in a way to make us believe that we are treated equally when we're not. And now people are fed up. So when you see things, huh?
Do you know what they call it in the workplace now? What I've been told, it's called unconscious bias.
Yes, exactly.
So if you had a panel of say 4 white people and they're interviewing you, they're naturally going to go for the person, just unconsciously going to go for the person that they kind of understand more, the way that they speak, their upbringing, their, you know, everything about them. So if a black person came in and it's like, yeah, I've done this job, yeah, I was doing videos on Link Up TV, they're not going to understand what you're saying. They don't understand you. You might speak slightly differently. Your whole, you know, they just don't get it. So they're going to sway more to the other person. And this word unconscious bias, when I'm being told it, I'm like, what the hell is this? Discrimination. It's discrimination. And that's why I'm pushing for diversity, because I think these panels need to have different types of people on them.
Of course.
Those big corporate companies.
Of course.
That goes without saying. How are we still there?
I don't know, man. I just think a lot of this is about education and that, and like you're not gonna win everyone over, unfortunately. But you know, I just see that like we essentially have the same system as America and other places. You know, we share the Commonwealth. When you look at the fact that, like, you know, Europeans and the English in particular, they were the first to send slave ships to America. They was like the first to do that, and I think that people think that because in England, slavery isn't documented in the way that it is in America, that it's all right over here, which is not actually entirely true. There was actually slaves in England here anyway. But I think that like that is also part of the problem, where people just look at it and think, well, like, you should be grateful to be here. Like, what are you making noise for? You should be grateful. You know what? It's not funny, but it is funny, because the mindset in which some people have is so far away from where it essentially needs to be, which ultimately means or proves how much work really needs to be done in it. And I just hope that, like, in the times that people are going out and protesting and stuff like that, yeah, that people don't give too much of a reason for they to be distracted by the actual point. And that is what I get a little bit upset about sometimes, when I think, like, people are out there mashing up the place or whatever, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool, I get it still, but you know what? Just understand that by mashing up the place, yeah, all it does is makes the media portray us. They expect us to do that. Put it that way. They just expect us to
Trump said, thugs.
Yeah, exactly.
But my thing is, I just want everyone to be careful out there, because when I see all those crowds of people, and I know with this coronavirus and it's attacking black people, I just want people to be safe and protected as much as they can. So important.
We're definitely getting a second wave. Well, I mean, we might get, I mean, I don't know if it's a second wave. It might just be a longer wave of what is happening right now. But when I looked at some of the pictures and that, I thought, yeah, shit, boy. This, if this corona thing is what they're saying it is, then this is spreading like wildfire right now. But you know what? I think that a lot of people believe that this is bigger than that. This is bigger than that, innit? Like, yeah,
no,
cool.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah, cool. There is a coronavirus and stuff like that. But you know what? There's a bigger issue at hand here.
Yeah.
There's a bigger
issue. I love how strong they are. And I love that they've gone out in full force. And do you know what I mean? I just love it.
Yeah. You know what? In a nutshell, all I say, D, is that like the more that people educate themselves, the better position that the better the environment would essentially be.
Yeah.
But we have to also bear in mind that not everyone's on that. Not everyone wants to do that, and some people have an ideology and a certain way of thinking and a certain way of teaching their kids, and that is and that's it. And there's not really much. What can you do about that unless the system is able to work out, if they wanted to, ways that they can get to the young kids and make them think independently of just what your parents tell you, because ultimately what your parents tell you isn't always the right thing. Your parents don't always tell you the right thing. They don't always give you the right information. Sometimes they give you the worst information, but as kids, naturally you come into the world and then you gravitate to the person that holds you when you're born, and that you smell that person, and then like naturally there's like this love that you have that you can't even put the words to. So then when that person is telling you things and giving you information, or you hear them saying things, then you just kind of think, well, yeah, this is my hero, so I'm following the footsteps of the hero.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see, if possible, more kind of black unity, because I see a lot of divides in the black culture. I'm not just talking, African, Caribbean and all of that. I'm talking black men, specifically Caribbean men, the way that a lot of them treat black women. We talk about Black Lives Matter, and I think there's a very, very, the way that they treat them is not very good, especially from my experiences. I want to see a lot more black unity. I want to see a lot more of us working together. Did you see John Boyega?
Yeah, he's been on it.
Did you see what he said yesterday?
No.
He was just saying that black men need to support black women.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And
I think that's vital. I think it's vital, and I think that's definitely what's lacking. When I look at all the top black guys in music and media, a lot of them, I don't see black women beside them. Why is that? It's just not being spoken about. It's not being spoken about. So for me, there's got to be a lot more to do with our culture and black couples. Like a lot of the time we say, that's the baby mama, that's the baby daddy. When do you hear? I want to hear more wives and husbands and partners and unity and bringing up kids. Not kids running up and down council estates, ain't got nowhere to go, nothing to do. Then they end up in prison. Look how many black kids are in prison. And I'm talking members of my family too.
Yeah.
Like black unity needs to happen, otherwise we're not going to grow. We're not going to grow. And that's how the white people can come and tear us right apart. And then where we are, we're back at the bottom again, trying to fight and survive, and Black Lives Matter. We need to grow our own thing.
Yeah, I hear that still. And obviously all from a positive place and a positive mindset and that. And obviously I do still want to big up people that are on job, that like outsiders that get it and understand it and are trying to understand it and that. And I'm not on essentially like a white savior, because that's not where I think sometimes that's where people might misunderstand me when I say, I'm going to do this at the end of this conversation anyway. Yeah. But one thing that I was saying on my Insta yesterday was that a lot of what is happening at the moment, in terms of like the race issue and that, isn't our problem. It's their problem.
Yeah.
So, if I go out on the street, if I'm out in the street, for example, and, someone starts making monkey noises at me, who's the one who needs to change? Can't be me. It has to be you. You have to change. So a lot of this is their problem. You think about like some of the people that like have these unconscious biases and not even unconscious, but like direct, they project direct racism. Yeah. These people have got jobs, and like some of the jobs that they have are good jobs. Some people have got good jobs. So they can employ people. They can sack people, and they can make certain things happen in it. So imagine what happens in the workplace with people who have a mindset like that. So who needs to change? It's them who needs to change.
Yeah.
And I just think that sometimes in order for that to change and for that to happen, people that are next to them need to call that out. You need to pull their skirt down and let them know, nah, like you know what? If this is how you think and you feel, then cool. But you can't do this next to me. You can't. A man, my brethrens, if I'm out on the road, yeah, and I'm with my brethrens and that, and one of my brethrens just goes and slaps a girl on her ass, man's telling him, fam, like, you can't do that next to me. Firstly, that's not cool. But if you do think that's cool, we like
go over there.
Go over there, sir. Like we can't. We're not doing this here.
Yeah.
So essentially, the way that I'm saying that I am accountable for my brethrens and other things, you gotta be accountable for your people and that too. And call that out and make sure that people feel uncomfortable whenever they feel like they're gonna something's even coming to the bottom of their lip.
Yeah, I think that goes for all scenarios with your friends, whether they're white or black, because there's so many scenarios, and I know people don't want to hear it, where there's people, say we put an event on or a big award ceremony or whatever, it gets shut down because of our own people.
Yeah,
you need to take your friends accountable, and I'm just talking about in general. Your friends are doing a madness. What do you do? Oh, let's run. No, hold them accountable. We've just ruined this race because of you.
Yeah, of
because
course.
Of what you've done.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Just in a different scenario. I'm just saying that we have to start speaking out, and just like what you're saying. And I literally want to see the black communities grow. I just don't know if everybody actually does. I think it's all right saying it and talking it and calling out Black Lives Matter, but what are you really doing?
Well, do you know what? I tweeted something here. I'm going to read it to you still, because I agree with what you're saying, but I will also say this, yeah? The problems in our community shouldn't distract from the system and the mindset that we have in place, and that has been in place for years and decades before the problems that we had in our community. And in fact, a lot of the deep-rooted issues that we have in our community stem from a system we have that controls, population density, economics, jobs, education, perception. So yeah, we have problems in our community, but in actuality, the system is the bigger issue. And people do say, because I saw some people saying that, like, the big issue or the bigger issue is our community. We have issues. We've got issues that we need to deal with, innit? We do. I'm never taking that away, yeah? But when you look at the deep-rooted issues and where some of these issues in our community come from, it comes from the system that we've got in place, and that has been developing over a period of time. The system just essentially changes. So it's like, think about the way that people lived in 1990. No, the way that people lived in 1919 is very different to the way that the people lived in 1950, and very different to the way that the people lived in 1970 and so forth, innit? So as time evolves, mindsets shift and change, but certain things still remain the same. So I say that to say this, it's like in 1919, it would have just been very acceptable to just slap a man in his head. Because you know what, you're black, and that's just that, innit? Like, what you doing here, really? Yeah. You're here. Well, essentially, we know why you're here. You're here to do the job that I don't want to do.
We don't want to do.
Yeah, we don't want to do it. You're here to do that. Yeah? So do that and shut the up. Yeah? But now, obviously, over a period of time, that mindset still is there, but it's just a bit different. It's done in a different way, and society controls a lot of these things, and it controls perception. Look at the media, for example. We don't control the media. I can control what I do on my podcast, of course, but the bigger media, we don't control that. So how they perceive us, we can't control. That's for them they control that. So again, that's for them to change. That isn't for us to change. They have to change that, and they have to want to change it. And if they don't want to change it, then we're always going to be perceived a certain type of way. And again, of course, we've got issues in our community. We've got things that we need to deal with and stuff like that. And we need to try to strategize when it feels like there are obstacles in the way. Do you get what I'm saying? We need to, have conversations, have meetings and discuss, come together. And I do believe people are doing it. We just need more people to do it, to be honest with you. And just figure out like ways that we could strategize and do that. But we can't let that distract us from the actual bigger thing that we essentially, we can't put a finger on exactly who the people are and what it is, but we know that it exists.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But what's the solution?
What's the solution?
Yeah.
Sorry. What's the solution? The solution, I don't know. I don't know what the I don't know what the bigger solution is. All I know is that, as I keep saying, people just need to pull people's skirts down when they start talking besides themselves. We need to obviously come together. We need to also try to figure out what the impactful thing is which will make a political change. So we need to try to figure out what that is. See, like, going out and mashing up things, yeah, sometimes is the key. Like, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we might have to just go out there and just do an absolute madness.
No,
but
I can't condone violence.
But let me just say this, yeah. I don't think that now is the time to do that. I think that I just think that we need to figure out, okay, what is it that we can do as people and like, as, you know, as a society that is going to make the biggest political change. Yeah. And then maybe that might help, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I'm not that guy. I'm not that smart like that. I'm not that guy.
You are that guy.
I just think and feel things, and I just try to express it. And sometimes I don't say it in the right way, but it's in my head.
That's the same as me. But what I try and do, and what I've done, is try and have conversations with people, bosses, standing up in meetings, making my voice heard. And I've been trying to do that. And it's exhausting, because guess what? When I look around, most of the time, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Because everyone else has got their mouths zipped, because they don't want the drama. They want to get paid and they want a simple life. But Talisa's up there going, guys, I'm knocking on doors. This isn't good enough. Can we have better? I look around. I'm on my jacks, you know? So it would be nice to have a support network. And I understand everyone's situation is different. You've got family to feed. You don't want to, you know, upset people and get them sacked and whatever. But it'll be nice if there was... I mean, it would be great in terms of our community, especially in terms of the music industry, if we all met up, say every twice a year.
Yeah.
One in the summer, one in the winter, and we can talk and we can help, and we can talk about, is there any young bucks coming through, internships?
Yeah.
Just trying to help. Do you know what I mean? We could do that. Can't sit in there waiting for the Mobos to save us. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Ain't happening.
No, I hear that still. I did hear that there were some quite powerful conversations being had while there was this Blackout Tuesday, but someone will have to come out and discuss it. But also, I think, you know what, time will tell, and we will see what happens from it, because conversations can always be had, which is good, but, you know, like, actions need to be put in place, in it. Like, we need action. You know what I mean? We need like some things to happen, because people have been talking for ages, man, and a lot of people are just tired, man.
I'm knackered. I need to go and lay down. I'm done. It's so hard. It's so hard to keep pushing. I'm
trying to find something that I wrote down, because I want to try and read it to you. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I mean, that's in terms of racism and discrimination, a lot of it is in the workplace, but I've also had it a lot in like airports as well. Getting dragged off. I got dragged off a flight once, the only person getting dragged off because I was acting suspicious. I had one bag and I was sitting there. It's because I was probably in business class and they probably thought, what's this woman doing? Is she a drug dealer or whatever? And I got dragged off the flight. And that's not the only time. The airports are the worst for me, to be honest. Worst.
Mad. Do you know, I actually saw as well, I saw Mo, the comedian, like, he you know, tweeted Channel 4. I thought this was good. I can't lie to you. I saw people, like, outing their partners and people that they work with. Like, you on a thing of your silence is mad right now. Your silence is insane. And I thought, like, I respected Mo for doing that so much. I think that also speaks to the power that he has, actually, because maybe in actuality, you know, Channel 4 need him more than he needs Channel 4 anyway, you know.
He's just been nominated for BAFTA.
Exactly. And I think that like a lot of people that are working in the entertainment industry have got themselves to a place where it's like, you know what? With or without you, I exist. With or without you, I exist. And I think before we never felt like that. I think maybe before we felt like we needed that for us to exist. But a lot of us have kind of woken up to the fact that no, just where I come from, my experiences and what I've lived and the people that I'm around actually has monetary value. That alone has monetary value in it from the things that I experience, that I see, people that I've been around and all of these things. So now I think that like a lot of people are kind of on a vibe of, you know what? Like if it means that I have to stand out and say some stuff about people that I work with or whatnot, from the entertainment industry perspective anyway, then like, so be it. Do you know what I mean? I know that it's a lot difficult for the average person who works in a, you know, in an office. They will feel a lot more insecure about saying to their boss, like, rah, yeah, like, you ain't said nothing. Like, what's going on? You know, your boss is not going to turn around to you and say, do you know what? Fuck off. I'm sacking you today. But what might happen is, you know, there's a trigger inside the stomach and the heart and that where it's like, you calling me out. I don't even like you now. So I'm going to make your life fucking hell. And you're going to leave. I'm not even going to sack you. I'm just going to give you a vibe and an aura that's going to let you know, it's time for you to get out of here tonight. Yeah. Huh?
They don't want it. A lot of the bosses don't want the drama of it. They just want a quiet life. They really do. But I'm just sick and tired of seeing all these execs and bosses just hiding behind brands and logos. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. We did a statement. Yeah. Done with it. Done with it.
I said that okay, so just go with me, yeah? I was saying that, like, again, a lot of what is happening right now and a lot of the things that are sort of coming to light, as far as I'm concerned, isn't our problem. It's their problem. And we are descendants of people who have been brought here for whatever reason. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are descendants of people who have a mindset, an ideology, and a way of thinking. That's not for me to change. That's for them to change. And I said that if you are intimidated by me because of the color of my skin, the way that my beard grows or whatever it may be, that's not my problem. That's your problem. We're represented in the media a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And we can't control that. Like, we can't control that. We are underrepresented in certain fields a lot of the time, and we also can't control that. Yes, we have problems in our community, and we've got things that we need to fix within our community and stuff like that. And like, you know, there's a lot of unfortunate things where you got super young kids selling drugs and that, and kids stabbing each other and all of that. There's a lot of things that we need to discuss within our own community. But fam, do you know how many positive black people there is trying to cut through? Do you know how many examples of positive black people there are in this country? Do you know how many positive black people there are that are just trying to make their way through a certain thing? And for whatever reason, it's just not happening. But they are, you know, they are in the right mindset and the right mind frame to try to make positive things happen. It's a lot more than the negative, although we definitely need to address those things. Yeah. Example, if I'm a football player, yeah, and I walk out on the pitch and someone starts making monkey noises, who needs to change? Surely that it can't be me. It can't be me. I can't be the person who needs to change. I understand that, like, I overstand, yeah, that there's overtly racist people. For example, let's just go to the football world, yeah, for example. There are overtly racist people that are in the stand that are just, like, making noise and saying all of these things. But also, you need to understand and overstand that these people have jobs. Some of them are managerial roles. Some are, business owners. And some also are shot callers. People that can just make things happen. They can just ring someone and say, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?" or whatever. So for me, when I am talking about the stuff that is happening in our community and that, the stuff that is happening in society and stuff like that, yeah. This isn't so much about, like, the comparing the police brutality and all of that. This is, again, just about the system that I feel that is in place to make us feel like we are treated equally when ultimately we're not. And I also do that because I feel there's a lot of people in countries, for example, France, Italy, Spain, where there's minorities of people that are treated in a sick way. And I am an empathetic person, sympathetic, and also I've seen things and felt things and experienced things, and a lot of things that I've felt and experienced and stuff I've ultimately normalized. So I say all of that to say this, yeah, we could sit and work on the perfect community and having everyone on side within our community as a black community and stuff, yeah. But until the system is in the right place, we will always be the lowest bunch in the pack.